Welcome back, everyone. So in this video, we are going to take our journey of creating inner peace and learning to spread it out into the world to the next level. So when you are trying to create peace within yourself and you're trying to create peace in the world, and what if you're doing everything right and you're getting the results and, you are actually making your breakthroughs and you are doing the right thing. But what if there is some conflict that occurs, okay? And or there's someone else who's just not doing the right thing due to some reason and or is posing as a hurdle, then what do you do, in that situation? Because when there are opposite opinions or opposite desires or opposite sort of like opposites trying to create their own outcomes, right? So that is a conflict, and in that conflict, whether it is in your family or in your organization or in the world, wherever it is just opposing opinions, right? That I want this and but they want that, and so how do you first of all prevent that? So how can we prevent conflict within ourselves, within our families, within our organizations, and in the world itself? And then if in case it happens, which is more than likely because, there's a diversity over here that's working with, working together with each other, and we're diverse. And what if that the conflict does occur, then in that situation, we need to have the skills to resolve it, okay? So we are going to focus on conflict resolution in that, in that situation, we will try to resolve the conflict. And in case we see that we have resolved it maybe to an 70-80% we have resolved the conflict, but still there is a certain percentage which continues to pose a problem, like maybe 10-20% is still something that's an ongoing thing, so how do you then manage that conflict? If we take an example of an organization, maybe in an organization, they were first of all, you did try to prevent the conflict by giving training to your employees, right? You trained them, you told them this is the right thing to do, that's how you're going to do it. But still, because they're human and, there is that space of, not always being able to follow through on everything. And then based on that, maybe if a conflict arises, you have between different teams, maybe because one team was depending on the other to deliver, and that's how they were going to do the work, and it just didn't work out. So then there's a conflict that has arisen between the two different teams. Now what are you going to do to resolve that conflict, and maybe at the time you held this meeting and you had conversations and you have sort of like tried to communicate that peace and harmony and coordination between both of the teams, and you have tried to make them work with each other, so that that we are achieving more together and we are achieving joint outcomes rather than thinking very individualistically and just going our own way. We just consolidating and thinking more about what we can achieve together, right? And how we can fill even each other's gaps, right? If one team is underperforming or one team is holding some kind of grudge, how the other team can come forward and resolve or try to resolve the conflict and have this peaceful communication between both. It could be even between countries. If you have a look about, if you think about it, how leaders of the countries can actually come together and talk to each other, and and sort of like even one of them stepping up and saying that I'll be the force for good, and I will get ahead and will try to resolve this peacefully, and maybe filling the gap, which is sort of like easing out the emotions of the other party and bringing them together on board and saying that we will do this together. It's going to be a joint journey. So we're going to do this together. And then even when you are doing that, maybe resolve the, if you think about it, that maybe it's been successful and you've resolved it to 80%, but the 20% of the conflict still, if still arises, or if there's anything like that, then there's a management, the process, there should be a process of managing it, right? So you constantly you implement your strategies to manage that conflict so that you can continue to have that joint collaboration. You can continue to have basically the maximum positive results out of the situation of the conflict, right? And how do you continue to sort of like manage the situation in a way so that it doesn't get left or right, it doesn't get really separated or out of hand, and it just is a peaceful collaboration, and it continues in that way, and you continue to create goodness coming from that place of collaboration, right? And then there's also this to create peace, there's also this process of post-conflict reconciliation. So if in case conflict has happened, things have gone here or there, and you have tried to resolve it in every way, what happens, and if there is this process could be successful where you go through the prevention, resolution, and management, and then you reconcile everyone in everything, and you just say that, okay, fine, it's just all settled down, we're working together. And I mean, in case there are still some hard feelings, in case there's still some, opposing opinions, how to reconcile those back into the right place, and saying that no, actually, there is a way that we can work together, and emphasizing on that reconciliation again and again, so that we have peaceful outcome rather than fighting over something that may not even operate if you fight like that. Like, for instance, if there's an organization, and if there's work being done on, in an organization, and the both of the teams need to work together to bring that, the fullness of, or the full or utmost positive outcomes through that organization, they can only do that if they work together. But in case that they don't do that, then they need to think about it, that what will happen to the organization itself. Would the organization continue to exist, or would it suffer? So thinking about the greater good, even if you are in team A or B, you think about the greater good, and you think about the fact that what is the right thing to do in a situation. It is more about that just anonymously, even that positive thing or positive force that or the positive results that could have been produced by an organization working for the highest good. If we continue to support that and think that for the highest good, and not just so self-focused or selfishly, but beyond ourselves, if we step beyond ourselves and think that this has to happen because it is for the greater good, it is for everyone, and everyone needs to obtain the benefit and the sort of like it's almost like the nourishment, or the positivity or the benefit that was going to go to everyone. we can't just stop all that or destroy all that just because we are thinking about ourselves, because it is something of the greater good. That's why, um step back and you think from the higher perspective rather than a very narrow perspective. You think from a higher perspective, and then you say that yes, maybe this is the way, or maybe this is the only way it's going to work. So if you want to make it work, maybe coming together and making it work is the only way it's going to work. So either then can you know you can think about that, which is something that makes you a very generous person, and it makes your mission very generous as well. um as in team having separate goals and missions, and like your mission and yourself, it just makes you a very generous um force, and a generous collaboration out of that. And or it could go where you suffocate yourself and the mission and the organization, and it just all is stuck and not working because you're not flexible enough to open up to the greater good. There might have been things that in the past that, for instance, those teams would have done separately. Those teams would have achieved outcomes separately, and they would have really obtained sort of like that competitive advantage over the other because of a certain thing. But what if something happens and then now it's a collaborative project, and it's no longer about competition, it's no longer about power, but it's about love, it's about peace, it's about harmony, it's about working together for a greater good. And everyone gets to share the reward, the story, the accomplishment. Not only that they share the accomplishment, but they also share the the story that comes out of it, or the image that comes out of it, that how they came together for the greater good. That in itself is a big thing, that how forces were able to collaborate, people were able to collaborate, and they were able to create this very unique thing that has never been done before, for instance. And so to do something new in life, you have to to achieve something new in life, you have to do something new as well. If you keep on doing what you have always been doing, you keep on getting the same results. And sometimes the same result is not going to change the situation, and you need to change your strategy, and open up and be generous to thinking in new and flexible ways. So that is the way we can actually prevent conflict in the world. If we from the start, if we start to think that way, that in that generous way, that that I'm not looking at just the present moment and right now, what I can get right now. I'm looking at the bigger picture. I'm looking at the outcome that's going to happen at the end of the day, and that how everyone is going to benefit from the situation, how everyone's going to collaborate, and how we're going to make this thing work no matter what, and you have that kind of courage, when you have that kind of like behavior to sort of like be the change, be the force of change, be the force of good, be that force which is greater and beyond even your own self, and is a collaborative force, rather than a force of restriction or competition or power or authority. Power and authority is good when it works in alignment with love and peace, and when it works in alignment with greater good. So then the power can transform a lot of things, right? So we see that conflict is always about power struggles, whether it is within yourself, in your family. And why I say within yourself as well, because I have already spoken about the positives and the negative